Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is your guide Olena from Kyiv, the capital of Ukraine, with the most detailed instructions about how to enter Ukraine. So this video will be very long and very detailed, and I hope that it will be very useful. So to make it easier, I will put the time codes into the description of this video. So if you are looking for some exact information, you check the list and you go over there. If you want to know everything, you just watch it from the beginning till the end. Okay, I don't want to make it like entertaining to grab your attention and to keep it for the whole period of me talking, but I just want to give you as much of information and explanation as possible, everything I know. First of all, I'd like to say that finally on the official website of the State Border Guard Service of Ukraine, we have the text in English with that instruction, how to enter Ukraine, what are the rules. However, I feel that many of these points, they need explanation, because what is written here is not enough to understand why and how it really works. And I can see that the information in English and information in Ukrainian language is different. What I mean, in Ukrainian language there is a little bit more of information than in English. However, if you need, just briefly to check something, of course, you can just go to that website and check it. I will put the link into the description of that video, but before you run away, please check, hit that like button and subscribe my channel. Thank you. And as well, you are always welcome to become my Patreon supporter, to subscribe my Patreon page and support my channel financially if you feel like. And many thanks to the moon and back to those of you who already support me on Patreon. Thank you. Okay, so point by point, crossing the state borderline in quarantine conditions. They put that information in English on the 1st of October this year, even though these rules, they exist for quite a long time. Most probably they will stay the same in the future. Those rules were changing a little bit during the last year, but not dramatically. And right now, we have the worst situation in Ukraine. We are in the red zone. Right now, most of the regions here, which means the situation of COVID is bad and we have many restrictions, but the rules how to enter Ukraine, they are not influenced, which means most probably they will stay the same for quite a long time. They will not be changing much. Of course, there is a risk that the end of the world will come. In this case, maybe the rules will be different, but so far it doesn't look that they will be changed anyhow. Well, the basic rule for all of the foreigners: to enter, you need a travel insurance and a certificate about your vaccination. That is enough to enter. Then, if you don't have vaccination certificate, you make a test before you come, and then after you come and you install mobile application Vdoma, which means home. That is the basic information, and if you understand what it is all about, that's enough for you. But if you have, for example, kids, depending how old they are, then if you have permanent residence permit or temporary residence permit, or you come here for study, how does it affect you? Because there are some exceptions about which I'm not talking in my previous videos. In this video, I will be explaining you step by step, point by point, and there will be everything that the State Border Guard Service knows themselves. What are the local border guards use this instruction, to make a decision should you be allowed to enter Ukraine or not. Okay, so let's go there and check it point by point. Point number one: what checkpoints on the state border of Ukraine operate? Here you have the link, and it takes you to the website where they say there is the map where those checkpoints work. So if you come to Ukraine by car, by bus, by bike, by bicycle, maybe you want to check your checkpoint, is it opened or not. As you can see from the map, most of the checkpoints, absolute majority, is opened, and the rules how to enter Ukraine, they are the same for all the checkpoints. It doesn't matter how you come, by plane, by air, or on the road. So for departure, is the state border closed, and can you be banned from travel abroad after your visit in Ukraine? Okay, so Ukraine does not need from you anything after you visited Ukraine. So there are no special requirements for you how to leave Ukraine, unless you have committed some serious crime and they want to arrest you for drug dealing or something like this. And I hope this is not your case. However, please check what requirements do you have from in your country, from your government after you visit Ukraine. Because recently Ukraine was in the so-called green list, which means it was possible to visit Ukraine and come back to your country and you were not required anything at all. But now some of the countries may have some additional demands, for example, to stay in self-isolation and so on. So this you check with your country, with your government, okay? I will be given information what are demands for you from Ukrainian side in terms of COVID. By the way, if after watching this video you still have some questions, don't hesitate to ask them in the comments to this video. That will be useful for me because that raises popularity of my YouTube channel, and it will be useful for you because I promise I will do my best to find the answer. However, if you subscribe to my Patreon page, you pay for support to support this channel. In this case, you are more than welcome to contact me directly and get a personal online consultation, and what I know, I will be talking to you about what I know. However, I'm not consulting on visa questions. I do not send you invitations to enter Ukraine. So there are other companies that provide these services for money, okay? So what I do is giving you information, but it's about related to COVID restrictions and tourism in Ukraine. It's not about visa, it's not about immigration. I don't provide work in Ukraine, because some of you ask me, Olena, please find me an apartment or please find me job in a factory. No, it's not like this. The next point, what is the procedure for entry of foreigners and stateless persons into Ukraine during the quarantine period? The first 5 points, they are not related with COVID. They are relevant at all times. Before COVID, after COVID, during COVID. Number 1 is that you need to have a valid passport, which is quite obvious, right? Number 2, you should not be banned on entry into Ukraine by the intelligence service, by the local police. What does it mean? You shouldn't be an international terrorist. So if FBI or KGB is looking for you, yeah, most probably you will be arrested here in Ukraine. What else? The exact example that I have. One American guy, he wanted to come to Ukraine with his Russian girl. His girlfriend was from Russia. He wasn't allowed to enter Russia, so they decided to meet in Ukraine. And what happened? He entered and she did not, because it turned out that a couple of years ago she visited Crimea. So Crimea is a part of Ukraine that was occupied by Russia after they attacked Ukraine, Russian government. And Russia says now that Crimea belongs to them because they have decided. And Ukraine says, no, Crimea is still our territory. And if you have visited Crimea through the Russian checkpoints without Ukrainian permission, in this case you violate the local legislation quite seriously. So the local police, or authorities, they check the list of people who go to Crimea. It's even about international, famous artists and politicians whatsoever. So if you visited Crimea and you recognized that it's a part of Russia, in this case, sorry, you will not be allowed to enter Ukraine. This is the punishment. But most of the people, it's not related to the most of people. Okay, number 3, you need to have visa. Okay, if you are an American, you don't need visa. But I will not be telling you right now, country by country, do you need visa or no. I will put a link to the website, and of course you can Google it yourself. Do you need a visa or no? Quite easy information. Again, I'm not consulting on visa questions, on immigration, but I can give you contacts of a good lawyer if you need. Yeah, if that is your question, yes, I just give you the contacts of the lawyer. Okay, number 4, confirmation of the purpose of the planned stay. Tourism can be the purpose of your stay, and if you look like a tourist and not like a person who has some other purposes, you have no problems. What can I say? Why that is important for Ukraine? Because Ukraine is often used as a transit corridor for illegal immigration, from the more poor countries to more rich countries, basically from the east and south to the west, to the European Union. And that is why the bodyguards are very suspicious and they ask more questions. If you are a person coming from India, for example, or Bangladesh, because these are Vietnam, these are the countries from which people quite often are arrested at the border of Ukraine, at the western border, after they enter, when they try to, just illegally walk through the border to Poland or other European countries. If you are from America, from Canada, from the European Union, most probably they will not bother you with very many questions. They will just see you are like American passport is your green light, you just enter Ukraine. I know that for some of you that sounds quite bad and you don't like what you hear right now, but this is how it is. And I want to say I was in the same situation, guys, when I was traveling to the UK, for example. Even though I had been working over there as a foreign news correspondent for the top Ukrainian TV channel at the border, I was asked many questions and I was suspected in illegal immigration, even though I had no intention to stay in the UK. I love Ukraine so much. Yeah, so it doesn't feel very good. Sorry for this. Number 5, availability of sufficient financial security for the period of planned stay and for return to the country of origin. So again, if you are from those Western countries, you shouldn't really pay attention at that point. Most probably they will not ask you any questions. If you are from the other countries, what do they mean? You need to have most probably they will ask you to show your return ticket, your information, like a document that you have booked a hotel somewhere. I believe an Airbnb apartment can be an option for you too, if you show it on your mobile phone that you have booked like an apartment for the next 1 week and you stay in Ukraine for 1 week. That should be enough. They can ask you to show how much money you have to prove that you have enough. So you can show them your cash, that you have, the full backpack of cash with you. Or it can be a document like from your bank with information how much money you have on your bank account. For me as an Ukrainian, that is a normal procedure when I travel somewhere to the West. So it's the same for you here to enter Ukraine. Okay, so these are 5 points that work all the time. Even after COVID, they will be the same. And now we have some other points that are related to COVID. And what are those? And here we have that information that you need to have insurance policy, certificate, it doesn't really matter how you call it. Then you need to have a negative test result by polymerase chain reaction or rapid test for antigen for COVID, which was conducted no more than 72 hours before you arrive. So the test itself should be conducted 72 hours before your arrival. Okay, so it's quite complicated when you fly from the US, for example. But before they were giving you only 48 hours, so 72 hours sounds not that bad. Okay, and or if you are vaccinated, so you need to be double vaccinated, or it is a 1 dose of a vaccine if only 1 dose is required, so you should be fully vaccinated. Your vaccine should be approved by the World Health Organization. That list is invented not by Ukraine. Okay, so if you are vaccinated by Russian Sputnik, for example, you will not be allowed to enter Ukraine as a vaccinated person, because that vaccine is not in the list of the international, World Health Organization. If your vaccine is in the list, then you should have no problem at all. I will put again into the description of this video the link to the WHO where those vaccines are published. Then the number 3, it says you have to install and activate the mobile application Home, except for a clearly defined category of people. What does it mean? So as a conclusion, so all people, all foreigners who enter Ukraine need to have this insurance. No matter how old you are, no matter how long you are entering Ukraine, it should cover your whole time of stay in Ukraine. Even if it's transit, we will talk in details about transit later. Even if you come for 1 year, you can ask me, what about if I'm coming for a very long period of stay? Should I have it? Well, according to the legislation, yes, you should have your insurance for all of the stay. Sometimes you enter without your return ticket. Well, in this case, I believe that the bodyguard as a person will have to make a decision, should he allow you to enter or no. And sometimes they even don't ask you about that insurance policy if you look like a typical, let's say, rich tourist. So I don't know what to tell you. Maybe if I was you, I would just buy insurance for the whole period of stay, simply because it is easier, and that insurance, it's not very expensive. That's what I would do on your place. Now, who does not need the insurance policy to enter Ukraine? Ukrainians do not need it. Foreigners and stateless persons who permanently reside on the territory of Ukraine. So if you have permanent residence permit, you don't need this insurance policy. However, if you have a temporary residence permit, you need the insurance policy. Then, persons who recognize as refugees or persons in need of additional protection, then go, all the special guys, employees of diplomatic missions and consular posts of foreign states and members of their family. Then we have drivers and crew members of freight vehicles, servicemen of the armed forces of NATO member states, blah, blah, blah. So these are people who have, who come here for this special work in diplomacy, in transportation, and the militaries who are on mission here. And most probably, if you are that person, you know that you don't need this insurance policy. Now, can you buy this policy in Ukraine upon arrival? No, it must be presented, so you should show your policy at the passport control. Some airlines even ask you to show this insurance policy before you even get on board of the airplane, and this is why you need to buy it before you get on board of the airplane. That's the best option. So when you buy your ticket, you plan your trip, you buy the insurance policy online. So insurance policy must be issued by an insurance company registered in Ukraine, or that has an agreement with the company registered in Ukraine, or has an office in Ukraine. So your insurance policy should work in Ukraine in general. Well, the easiest way is to buy Ukrainian policy, insurance policy online from a Ukrainian company. And here it says that it can be purchased on the website. The website is Visit Ukraine Today, and here you see in English it doesn't have a hyperlink, but in Ukrainian language the same information about insurance policy. And here when they say you can buy it online, here you press it and it takes you to the website, which is Visit Ukraine Today. It's supported by the government, and here you go. It gives you again the rules how to enter, and then buy health insurance. Here you buy it. Here you have health insurance. You have several options. You can choose. Sometimes you ask me what is the best, which I should buy. Guys, they are approximately the same. You just look through information yourself. There is not that some insurance company is bad or another is very good. Like, I don't know, maybe you like the logo of one company more than the other. I don't know which of them is the best. I think they're all good. To enter Ukraine, it is enough to buy one of those. If, for example, you are a child, do you need this insurance policy? Yes. So regardless of the age of a person, you need the insurance for the whole period of stay, and it should cover your possible treatment from COVID during your full stay in Ukraine. Yes, so even if you come for transit, even if you have children, so each foreign citizen needs to have that insurance policy. However, there are some exceptions. Yes, and those exceptions, they are citizens of Ukraine and people with a permanent residence permit, and refugees, and like diplomats, drivers, pilots, and military servicemen. So which category of persons doesn't need a negative test result or a document confirming the receipt of full vaccination course or a foreign COVID certificate? Who are those lucky guys? Well, first of all, they are citizens of Ukraine. What does it mean? If you are a citizen of Ukraine, the government cannot deny you from entering Ukraine. You have the right to come back to your home country anyway. But if you come and if you don't have a vaccination course, you are not fully vaccinated, for example, you will need to go to self-isolation that can be terminated if you made a test. And even if you come with a negative test result, anyway, upon arrival, if you're not vaccinated, again, you need to make another test upon arrival. This is for the citizens of Ukraine. However, if you are a foreigner and if you come here without that insurance policy, without document about your vaccination or negative test result, in this case, you are denied from entering Ukraine. The exceptions for insurance policy, we just talked about that above. Now exceptions for the test or vaccination. Exception: foreigners under 12 years old. So children are not required to show a test, are not required to show to be vaccinated, of course. And they are not required to go on self-isolation after you enter. Then foreigners who have permanent residence permit, again, as Ukrainians, you can enter Ukraine. However, after this, without even being vaccinated and so on, but you will need to go for isolation or make a test upon arrival. Now, refugees, diplomats, drivers, crew members, and military servicemen. So the list is almost the same. The next point: who is not required to install this mobile application Vdoma, home in English, which takes you to the self-isolation in Ukraine? So, from the very beginning, when you come to Ukraine, yes, you need insurance policy, some exceptions, and you need to be fully vaccinated. There are some exceptions. In this case, if you have insurance policy, if you are fully vaccinated, you just enter Ukraine and you have no other control, no problems, like absolutely. And even in the red zone with the vaccination certificate, you are allowed to go to all the places here. Almost, especially in Kiev, almost everything works and open for fully vaccinated people. Even football games, you can visit them, and theaters and bars and restaurants and nightclubs and so on. Now, what about those foreigners who come with a test? In this case, after you enter Ukraine, you need to install the mobile application Vdoma. It is translated as at home. You can download this mobile application when you enter. So there will be like a QR code, you scan it at the border, then you download it. You can use for this the internet of the of the airport. However, you can install it even before you enter Ukraine. So just to have it on your mobile phone, but don't rush to activate it. So you can download it using any SIM card. So even if you have American phone number, you can still download this mobile application. It was a big problem like 2 years ago when you needed an Ukrainian SIM card to download this application. Now, no problem, you can use your foreign SIM card, and then if you need Ukrainian number, you can buy it later for other purposes. Okay, so when you are crossing the border and it turns out that you are not fully vaccinated, but you have a negative test result, you show that you have installed Vdoma mobile application, and then together with the bodyguard you will press the button that it is checked by the bodyguard. And now you have 72 hours after you arrive to pass another test in Ukraine. It can be a PCR test, it can be a rapid antigen test. You make this test in Ukraine, and after this you are not required to go to self-isolation. But if you haven't done this test in these 72 hours, you go to self-isolation, and later I will tell you what are the demands for self-isolation. Okay, so who doesn't need to install the Vdoma application? Of course, and it's in the very end, people who are vaccinated, who are fully vaccinated. You don't need this mobile application. If you enter Ukraine and have documents confirming transit through territory of Ukraine within 48 hours. Now, this point has more of explanation in the Ukrainian version of the website. So in Ukrainian version, they say that transit is when you travel from one country to another country through the territory of Ukraine. Which means if you are coming from London to Kiev for 2 days and then back to London, it is not transit. Okay, it is short-term visit. So in this case, well, kind of most probably it's better to make another test upon arrival. How they will control it, how they will punish it for you, I don't know. It's not written anywhere, and there is no like legislation formed in this regard. Coming back, who else is not required to install the mobile application home? Under 18 years old. Children, yeah, they are not required to install it. However, they need to make to have a policy, insurance policy, and as a conclusion, I can see that if a child is between 12 and 18 years old, yes, in this case you need to show a test upon arrival, but you don't need to make another test after arrival. Under 12 years old, you don't need a test and you don't need self-isolation. You need only insurance policy. Then you don't need this mobile application if you are a member of the official delegations of foreign states, if the President, Cabinet of Ministers, Ministry for Foreign Affairs invited you personally, if you are a diplomat, if you participate in official sports competitions, if you come here to participate in cultural events and you have official invitation from cultural institution, if you're again a military man and you are here on mission from NATO, if you are from European Union body agency and you are here on the mission, if you are a student or you come here to become a student, in this case you don't need the mobile application Vdoma. If you are a driver, if you are on the mission again, if you carry stem cells for transplantation, if you have, in this case, yes, you are not required to install mobile application Vdoma upon arrival. Now we have what is the procedure for entry of Ukrainian citizens. And this information I will not be reading because this YouTube channel is for foreigners, not for Ukrainians, just because Ukrainians have a lot of other resources online that they can use, and this resource especially for you in English for foreign citizens who are interested in Ukraine. This is my super mission in this life so far. Then, how long does self-isolation last? In which cases self-isolation is not used? How to stop isolation? Is it possible to stop self-isolation after arrival from Russia and India? And which body should I contact for self-isolation? First of all, I remind you that upon arrival, if you are not vaccinated, but if you have a test result, you have 72 hours to make a test. If for some reason you don't want to make the test and you feel okay to go to self-isolation, I don't know what the reason can be, but anyway, it is possible. So self-isolation starts 72 hours after your arrival. So the first 72 hours you are not isolated, which sounds for me strange. Then you have 10 days for self-isolation. 10 days it lasts, and after those 10 days, you are free. Before, your self-isolation was controlled by the mobile application Vdoma at home. Right now it is not controlled, but you are on the database of the police, and from time to there is a risk that some police will check you at your place of self-isolation, because when you arrive and you install mobile application Vdoma, over there you put your name, your passport number, your address of self-isolation, and your mobile phone number, and that information goes to the police. So if they see in this application that you haven't done the test, that means you need to be isolated for 10 days on the address that you have mentioned, and they can check you at this address, are you still there or no? Okay, 10 days. But there is an exception, and that exception is for people from India and from Russia. And that is quite strict, because if you are from those two countries, you need to go for self-isolation for 2 weeks, for 14 days. Now, before it was written that if you are fully vaccinated, you can make a test and you will be free. Right now, they don't write this. They say without any exceptions, if you are coming from India and Russia, if you've been in these countries for 7 days in the last 2 weeks, that means you will need to go for self-isolation for 2 weeks here in Ukraine without exceptions. And this self-isolation cannot be stopped. So you cannot make a test and be free from self-isolation, which sounds again strange for me, but I'm not the one who makes those rules. Okay, here are some phone numbers that you can use. National Police of Ukraine, Center of Public Health of Ukraine, Ministry of Health of Ukraine, Ministry of Digital Information of Ukraine. But just to warn you, don't have many hopes to contact those numbers. Most probably no one will answer, or they will not speak English, or they don't know what to tell you. Yeah, like, they have those phone numbers, but from what I know, they are not very helpful. Whew. So I believe that is all that I wanted to tell you about. I hope that video was useful. Please, you are more than welcome to ask me in the comments if something is not clear. If it is clear for me, I will give you the answer, or I will honestly say, I'm sorry, I don't know. Okay, I hope that now you know more than before. It was a pleasure to talk to you. Have a nice day. Goodbye.